The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Morning, guys. What's going on? So, Chris is just trying to get set up, so I thought I would start the show off without him. It is Thursday, and they've been bowling a couple of days over at the Team USA trials. Barnzy Jr. had a pretty decent day the first day, a little rough the second day. Game 6 is not his friend, that's for sure. I think he's probably dropped about 30 spots in totality between the two game 6s so far. Hey, Nico, what's going on? Happy Thursday. So some updated news. I got the filming done yesterday for our first look at The Revenant. So I should try and get that up either later on today or tomorrow. I've got to do a little bit more editing than I do with a Chris video because I couldn't get the music off. I don't have as much pull as Chris did. So I'm actually going to do some sort of either an intro or maybe a voiceover. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I couldn't really use the mic and talk while we were going because it would have just been drowned out by the music. And then we would have got copyrighted. So that wouldn't have worked out very well. Nice. That's the only way to get better. More reps. Got to get out on the driving range. Hey, Frank. Missed you on Tuesday. Happy New Year. Hey, Dan. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. I hope you guys are all bowling good. Hey, Joe. What's going on? Voiceover is the best way. Yeah, it is. I think it's. I think the best way of doing it is to talk about it while you're bowling, like Chris has been doing. But like I say, that wasn't really practical. Going forward, I think I'm going to have a good setup for it, though. So I was just with it being the holidays and stuff, and also I had to navigate around the fact that Mel's now has video screens the whole way across. So I wasn't 100% sure whether I'd get copyright claimed on the video playing in the background. So that was another bit of a thing that we had to figure out, switching off the TV screens and how many across and all the rest of the garbage. So, hey, Terry, what's going on? Happy New Year. Hey, Dylan, do you guys do all the editing yourself? We currently do all the editing ourselves, or I do all of the editing. And I guess it's a little strong. I would say it's more cutting than editing. Yeah, Nico, they were playing like ESPN, so they had the ESPN shows on like First Take or whatever they had playing on. I'm going to later myself, Night Road and a Gem. Nice combo. Big gap though. Big gap. So yeah, morning, Clint. So let me know, is the picture any better? Because right now I've got a new router system in the house, and it seems to be way better on my end. But I know a few of you guys were bitching and complaining about it before Christmas. So let me know. Is the picture good? Is it all coming through okay? Also, what did you guys get for Christmas? Anybody get a bowling ball for Christmas? I asked this on the in our YouTube community page, and we got a few responses. But bowling balls for Christmas is always fun. I got a Sunstorm for Christmas. That was my present for Christmas. So I also recorded a video with that yesterday. So you get to see that. That was a bit of fun. A trip down memory lane for me. Not sure how much use it's going to be, but it's definitely a shape I didn't have. Whether it's a shape I really want or need is certainly up for debate. But yeah, has anybody seen those Sunstorms around? I think they missed the color a little bit. I think it's a little bit too it's not blazing yellow, which is how I remember the Sunstorm. It's more of like a lemon, I think. So yeah, that's been the way it is for me anyway. I feel like the color's just a tiny little bit off. Does the Sunstorm get dirty quick? Yeah, definitely got dirty quick. Let's have a look. When's the Red Sunstorm coming? I'm not sure they're going to do that. I don't know that Storm are in the business of releasing retro balls. So I think it was just I think it was just a bit of fun. So I'm not sure. We'll see. I guess it depends how much positive feedback they've got from it and how quickly everything's sold out. So we'll see. Yeah. How did you like that one? Chris has used the Hustle USA quite a bit, but I never got into it. It might have been because it wasn't a Hustle GB. Maybe if they released a Hustle GB, I'd have bowled with it. Hey Gary, morning. Wow, that was a pretty nice raffle. Winning an exotic gem, a phase 5 and an electrified pearl. Holy shitballs. Well, it looks like Chris is finding his way in, so that's good. We'll see how that works. Nice, Charles. You liking it? Is that going well? The infinite. What's going on, Christopher? Can you hear me? I am your father, Luke. It's going well. It's going real good. I guess he went over to Red Rock to try and find it. Do you hear me now? Nope. So yeah, he went over to Red Rock. Morning, James. Thanks for joining us in our little in our little community. Oh, that was nice. You got your Down Idle Cosmos. Sorry, wrong one. It gives me a cricket like because I love it so much. I slept with it under my pillow. Nice. Whoa. Well, that is Chris, although the internet connection there isn't ideal. So we're a little pixelated.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to hear you, I hope.
We're working on it. I don't know.
So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. How are things there?
So things are good here. We've got a good internet connection and I've got a nice camera working. Two things that you don't seem to have going on right now.
Yeah.
Aaron, Chris and technology are an amazing thing to watch.
You would think it's like this. I don't know.
Oh shit. Oh, nice, Adam. That's nice of you. So anyway, let me just quickly answer this question first. What's the difference between the Storm lines, e.g., Master, Signature, Premier, and Thunder? Okay, well, the Premier line is the top end line that uses asymmetrical balls. You won't find a symmetrical ball in the Premier line. The Signature line is basically the Belmo line and is very similar to the Master line right now. The Master line is, in general, symmetrical, high-end symmetrical balls, phase 2s, etc. And then the Thunder line is kind of I guess it's probably upper mid-price now. It's Storm's staples on the, kind of the skid snap balls. So like High Roads, Night Roads. I guess the Pitch Black falls into that category for whatever reason, probably just for pricing. But that's the difference. So like the Premier balls are the ones that are going to be asymmetrical. Pretty much all the rest of the lines are going to be symmetrical unless they have the odd weird thing come around. So they were the words they used. Chris's internet is now way better than it was 5 minutes ago. So that's good. So what's been going on over there? What have you seen the first few days?
Yeah, 2 days of patterns there, and the first day was 38 feet. As usual, a giant urethane fest, as everyone under 30 seemingly can only control their break point with one of those. So the pattern was 38 feet, except between like 6 and about 11, where it was about 45 feet, and made it pretty interesting later on. The scores were medium to high. Ryan, from his standpoint, had a pretty good day. He had 2 lanes where he never threw a strike on, though, and on those 2 lanes he was minus. Gosh, what he had 4 opens, I guess, between those. But urethane on the gutter, when it goes the wrong way, it gets 6 a lot. So.
Simon says, "I'll say it. There are too many kids bowling this tournament. It's become a money grab to start the year. Field could be cut.
You actually can't be below 16 now in bowl that tournament, which is interesting. You have to qualify through junior gold for any of the younger teams, and now you have to be at least 18 to make the adult Team USA, which Eric Jones got caught in between. So he turned down the RPI to go bowl team trials without actually reading the rules, and he didn't want to qualify for only junior Team USA or attempt to, and so he didn't end up bowling either one. I don't think.
I thought I saw him on the RPI list. I like on the results. I'm probably mistaken, but I thought that's how
he did qualify. I think he actually qualified in maybe multiple regions, but yeah, he didn't end up getting in. I don't believe.
Yeah, because he's more than 18.
I
guess maybe the dates didn't work out too good for him.
That was.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what.
Moving along.
So anyway, day 1 was 38 feet. Ryan was 16th. First and second was Jacob and Brandon Bone. Day 2 was the hard day, the flat 40-footer.
Danny says, did anybody try to use reactive with success? Well, I think that Chris Prather tried to use reactive and bowled 120.
Yeah, he shot 120 the first game, so it didn't work out very good.
And yes, I am laughing at Chris because Chris was probably laughing at Chris after it happened. 120 is a little tough to come back from in a 6-game block when your position that day counts.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Jones did get in the RPI, so somebody did make a flight, which isn't super surprising.
So in relationship to just some of the guys don't 100% know the format and what goes on, but principally wherever you finish each day is how many points you get. So if you finish first, you get 1 point. And if you finish 51st, you get 51 points. And at the end of the week, they bowl how many blocks? They bowl in 6?
5.
Blocks, 5 so they're bowling 30 games, which for Prather shooting a 120 in 30 games wouldn't really be that big of a deal. It's not ideal to give up 70 whatever pins, but it's not really the end of the world. But giving up 70 in a 6-game block is kind of a little rough.
Yeah, the deal is the total points where you finish each day, you get a point. And so, he almost got enough points the first day to make it really difficult for him to make the top 4. He is who he is. Really, Troop is bowling okay. Darren Tang is not bowling great. Prather is not bowling. He bowled better yesterday, but not, not what he would expect, I don't think. Andrew Anderson
seems to be bowling pretty good.
If Jacob bowled good the first 2 days, then he's probably wasn't going to, particularly
Andrew Anderson is bowled pretty
Andrew's
good.
bowling good.
Yeah.
Today's a 47-foot pattern, not much volume, and it has a speed bump at the end.
Are the left-handers going to be able to use their urethane balls, do we think?
Well, historically, Nick likes to put a little hook spot out towards the gutter to let them bowl on those long patterns. If they do, right now 3 of the top 4 spots are left-handed, and that wouldn't probably change much throughout because the last pattern is short and they're stone cold walled on the left. And well, they're pretty good. They're pretty easy on both sides, but obviously there's going to be 90% of the traffic on the right throwing urethane, so it's going to be a mess.
Mike Heaton, I can't believe they used that photo again. Yeah, the PR department hates Jacob.
Evidently.
Ravaging Rick Rude. Woo!
Spencer he bowled fantastic yesterday. They were considerably harder for everyone, and it's kind of where Spencer shines a little bit. He was in full grind mode, bowled a good first game, and was able to just keep grinding out 210s. And Brandon Bone ended up there, but he did the same thing. He shot 250 the first game, then struggled for a while and got at a late 210 or so.
Hey Nate, no, the only reason they were submitting resumes were to not have to bowl the trials.
Yeah, you submit a resume so that you can be picked. There'll be 4 people make it from here off of finish. I believe maybe as many as 4 will be picked also, but 2 for sure will be picked from this event, and then there's up to 6. I think they're off the resumes. It could have changed, but
I don't know, to be honest, because it's kind of in the gap that I was going to come home.
I haven't even looked at it, so I could tell you.
So I think I'm probably going to end up going home because we're going to be on the road for like 4 weeks and then off for a week and then back on the road for a few more.
Bowl TV is live streaming. It's a 70-lane center. They obviously can't cover every pair, but they're covering I think at least 16 pairs, maybe 32 pairs. I'm not sure. So, no, not 32. That would be actually the whole tournament. So
16 lanes or 32.
Yeah, 8 cameras, I think. So it's 16.
16 lanes.
16 pairs, 4 lanes per camera. So you cover a significant part of it, but that's on Bowl TV. Where everything is going to be at this year.
Hey, yeah, I don't know whether they were able to qualify for the team if they didn't bowl the trials this time. Now, maybe Missy had an exception, but I don't know.
I believe it's still been the same. I mean, Simo's not bowling. And pretty sure he's going to be on the team. So.
Oh, is he? Like, I didn't even know that he was.
I don't know if he submitted or not, to be honest. I don't know.
Well, I don't think he's ever bowled.
EJ's not here, so and he's been on the team the last several years. So
okay. So how'd you see the scoring going? It's a little softer, that 47-foot pattern, right?
Yeah, they're actually going to be a little easier. That doesn't mean they're going to be easy because Gold Coast can be challenging going across the building anyway. A few sand trap pairs for sure. But it should be higher. At one point yesterday, through I think 4 games, there was 25 people plus out of the 175, and so
that was 24 more than Nick was aiming at.
This is going to be. This will be way more closer to 100 over. I think will be an okay score, a top 25 score.
Yes, you do need an account to watch on Bowl TV. It's the new streaming platform for bowling, basically. All professional bowling is on there. So,
women, men, kids, and college, basically any competitive bowling now.
What's included when making Team USA?
Not insurance. So yeah, jackets and uniforms. There's a training camp that's involved there. The ability to be part of almost everyone goes to some event during a year, with the top 6 going to the main events.
I was about to say, don't say that out loud in our house.
Yeah, there's always a couple of people that don't. Probably 10 out of 12 generally.
What new ball are you guys looking forward to that SPI is released and that isn't out yet? I mean, the Revenant. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that ball, especially for the US Open, because the Spectre was fantastic at the US Open last year. That bowling center has a lot of built-in friction. So I think that ball could be quite in demand for the US Open. Unfortunately, the two-handers really like that one. So Simo bowled maybe the greatest 3 games I've ever seen at the US Open last year. This is one of those situations where you're just like, yeah, no, I can't do that. He had, I think he had 840 and his ball landed about the rangefinders every shot. And me and Don were like, it's just a joke. Like, he's literally just shot 250 over on 3 games, and I'd be lucky to shoot 560.
Yeah.
So yeah, that ball's back. So yeah, I think that's the one, because obviously there's some other balls coming out in the year, but I don't know what they are, and if I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you. So we'll just go with I don't know. But I'm sure there's some good stuff coming there. From our brand specifically, there haven't been as many balls, especially Chris's side. So I would imagine that logic would dictate that there's some pieces coming from them, but what they are, when they're coming, I don't know what to tell you. Historically, right. February is usually a release month, so keep your eyes peeled. But like I say, what that is, who knows?
True that.
You can't tell me that a person as good as Missy can't make it because she's recovered from a broken wrist. Yeah.
Sure. It largely depends. Yeah, I mean, they've had pregnancy things on the women's team and things like that as well. It largely depends on what you're going to be available for.
Yeah.
But that is why the resumes exist there for multiple reasons. But team continuity, year-over-year leadership, some of those things, and while you still give an opportunity for new blood.
Yeah, there's a fine line, really, because it's like having a legitimate reason to not go, i.e., I broke my wrist, or I really can't be bothered going to Vegas.
Yeah, and we've had both over the years because it's not a cheap trip. I mean, it is. It's about $1,000 to make it all work, and the top players, I guess, still get insurance, which it was before. They had top 2. I didn't know if that was still in play or not, but it's not blanket for everyone, unfortunately. They've been working on it, but
just me. Chris is still of the opinion that he is useful to Ryan, so he is staying in Vegas.
It might be debated right now.
But to be fair to Ryan, he did write that most of his problems were spares, and I'm not sure that, well, A, that you're the person he'd go to at the minute for that, and B, there isn't really coaching that goes involved into shooting spares.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little rough on himself, but basically some bad moves at the end. It's hard to make four pin, 6-count spares, especially when they're not sitting together.
Yeah.
So a lot of, he basically had my 69 and 70. He had my game at Shawnee on lane 1, where you go down there and all the reps and everybody's telling you how much lane 1 hooks and how much it hooks on the front. Lane 70 is like that there, and it always is. And he's going with TJ Rock, and TJ misses the head pin left the first shot. And then on the spare, he leaves the 139, and he manages to miss it high again. And so Ryan moves a lot. And so he buckets, then washes out, and then washes out. And he'd moved 10 back to the right by the time, because the rules are different when you can throw it 21 miles an hour, it turns out. And he just made the front. He eliminated, but once you got past the front, it was quite a bit tighter. That pair's a mess. But
and the rack on lane 1 is just atrocious as well.
Yeah. So that one didn't jump out of his way. He did miss a couple of single pins, which is unusual. And no matter how many times you watch it, you just forget, and then it comes back to you in the face when you get uncomfortable on your first ball, and then you get uncomfortable. You just got out of rhythm, period, for a little while. So,
what's Ryan carrying around for his arsenal?
He has a few urethane balls, of course, because that's such a common tool here, including fast pitch and pitch black. Then he's got Reality, Supernova, X1 Zen. He actually had a trend in the bag, which got him in trouble yesterday. That was not it didn't serve him that well. And I think a Wolverine and an original Red Respect kind of round out the bottom end.
Not even sure I know what a Red Respect is.
It's lower. It's 250/40.
Yeah,
Actually fits as a low end ball now. It used to roll fantastic. Actually, the last World Championships that were at
is that the pearl one?
The red pearl.
Oh yeah. It's like brown and yeah. It was like
rolls.
the opposite of color wise. It was like the opposite of the original Respect. The original Respect was the most in your face ball you could see, like white and blue and black, and then that thing went down, and it could have been any ball in the bone center.
Yeah, red with a little bit of black pearl, and it does roll very good. I don't think, as hard as he throws it, he won't get to it, but maybe today. I think these are going to overlap each other a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he says he's got a pretty high rev rate. He's got 520-ish speed. I personally wouldn't drill the Zen-U that strong because I've drilled it strong, and I think that it ends up going all over the place. So I think if you went with like maybe a 5-inch pin rather than the really strong pin, it might actually be better. It really isn't urethane, so use it as like in your mind. Use it more as like a controlled reactive ball rather than a urethane ball. It doesn't hook anywhere near as early as a urethane ball should or could or whatever. So if you see it more in your mind as like just a really strongish controllable ball rather than a urethane ball, I think you'll see it better. From what I've seen out of it so far, anyway.
So besides urethane, you've seen the Storm brand bowling ball shine and team trials. Brandon Bonta led yesterday, throwing a Zen Soul for 4 of the games. I think he bowled on the in pair and shot 160, and then went to a Wolverine and shot 260 the last game. The boss. So
they're saying any other brands. I would imagine that Perp Daddy is being used quite a bit because that's what they.
Any other Storm brands is what he said, but there's plenty of purple going down. Some phase 2s. Yesterday was hard, so yesterday was kind of for a lot of people just trying to figure out how to hit. I saw a honey badger yesterday by one of the guys who finished in the top 10 at the end. Somebody asked about how I think the Absolute would look on the 47-footer.
Next question.
I thought it made the 40-foot pattern look like 47 feet. So,
yeah, that isn't one of our favorites at the minute. How we drilled them and what we did, and
what's more of a control shape. So for me, the 47-footer would be much more along the hustle line, burner line, Zen, and like that to start. For Ryan, it still means he can throw. Well, there's 26 mils, and this place hooks in the front. But while I'm saying that, Ryan's probably going to end up throwing like Supernova because he can just buzz it over the front, and then he gets to be a little more aggressive. So
I also think that like you would almost your skill set is obviously to make the ball roll earlier, but I also think that like you also quite like being able to like force the ball into play a little earlier so you don't have to make as many ball changes.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I feel kind of the same way. I don't really like using a ball that I can only use game 1 because game 2 is already confusing enough. When you bowl on somebody else, how they broke it down and everything else. So then kind of knowing that you're probably in the wrong ball isn't that great either. So.
I mean, I would, for myself, I think like phase 2 Zen to start with is probably as much as I could probably throw on the fresh, and then I'd be down into X2 and those cleaner balls.
You think your shiny infinite might have a chance?
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure why that's not in my, because they're going to be more playable, and that's where that infinite really shines. Is taking a little bit of room and making it a lot of room.
Yeah,
and
I felt like Troop and Prather were going to bowl really well today, because I think that they're both unbelievable at taking something that's not easy, but like a little softer, and making them seem like they're just walled. Especially Kyle. I mean, Kyle's unbelievable. The pattern gets a little softer, and then you're watching him bowl, and you're like, "What are you bowling on?" Like, it's just mind blowing to me. Like, Kyle strikes a ton once he gets going, and Prather's kind of the same way. He gets streaky, and he gets loose, and it's just
he didn't look super sharp when he came here, and his bag is entirely roto grip balls, which leads me to believe that he drilled the balls that showed up, and maybe not much else lately.
Interesting.
He has X3 hype solid, hustle camo. He had some interesting balls in his arsenal for this one, and
maybe he was just trying to make it more challenging.
Well, he started to look a little bit better yesterday. Grinded out a reasonable plus set, which kept him in the top 15. And I think today is where you really see his skill set show up with that long pattern and speed control, floating it through the front. Those kind of things are really, those are going to come into play. So, yes, I am at Red Rock. This is site of some of my best and worst memories. So, I just come back here just to relive the nightmare occasionally. How much I have Salutes R2S deep cover? I don't have any idea. It's the first time we've seen it on that. Reactogloss colors, core cover combinations. There's a lot of things. It could have just been what we bowled on, that it just didn't look great there. But it, for us, it's just not as versatile as, say, the Infinite Physics is, which rolls good on a lot of different patterns.
Well, thanks for repping the shirt. It says during league play, if you start to see a lot of over under, what would you recommend? Balling up or balling down? In general, for me, I tend to miss left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I tend to miss left, so I tend to miss in the oil more often. So for me, it's always a ball up, especially on a league shot where like the dry is very responsive. But it really depends what your ball up is. Like if your ball up, say you're using, I don't know, say you're using a high road pearl, which would be a weird ball, but say you're using a high road pearl. If your ball up is like a Zen, well, a Zen is still pretty responsive to the dry. But if you're into, say, a Zen and your ball up's a supernova, well, a supernova is really smooth. So that can kind of smooth off the wet dry. So it always depends on how people break the lanes down, what they see, and typically what that house shot does. If you're playing really close to the dry, maybe you need to break ball down. But for me, with rev rate in league, it's pretty much nearly always ball up because you move more into the oil.
Now, the trickier part is when there's friction in the front, and that's where balls like Shiny Nova, where we've kind of like the exotic gem a little bit. Shiny Supernova can be a little more responsive, but those shiny big covers can really help you out as far as blending out that wet dry down lane. Game 2.
Somebody is asking here, how's Darren doing? You were saying he was struggling a little bit.
He was minus day 1, I believe, or right around, and about the same on day 2. He had a late rally to get to a little plus, so he put a grinder set together, a professional type set on something where they were pretty hard. Saying that, Brandon Bonner did get to plus 200, and he lapped. I believe there might have been 4 people 100 over.
Was that day 1 or day 2?
Day 2. Day 1, there was the score. Actually, the top score wasn't that much higher, to be honest, which is kind of funny. But there was a lot more people around it, and certainly a lot more people plus. So, going along with what he said, yeah, like Stu just said, but the reality it looks better after wet dry. That makes some sense. Ryan overall, he's about 20th, which the last game he doubled. It cost him about 20 spots yesterday. He left the 310 and missed it, and he would have been at 9th overall. Instead, he's 20th, and I think he went from what was it, 20th overall to 44th. I think in that just in that 10th frame. So that was a tough one, no doubt.
Nate's left-handed. He said he threw the absolute. He messaged me. He said he was right. It's close to Honey Badger Revival, but it's earlier and smoother than the Honey Badger Revivals.
Yeah.
Rumor has it Stu is scared to bowl Ibn. I'm not scared to bowl Ibn. I'm scared of anything else that Ibn would do to me, though. That's one bad man right there.
We went over to Top Rank Gym and watched one of his. Actually, he's got a female boxer now. Watched her spar against a lightweight guy, and she's. I'm scared to box her too, for sure.
And I imagine that Ibn's like about 3 times the size of her. He's a big dude.
Yeah, Ibn's a strong dude. Easy. That's not surprising. The Nova is pretty slow, so it needs some friction really to change directions.
Yeah.
Much. It's a control ball otherwise. I feel like the point system for the standings. A certain guy on Twitter also has a podcast, isn't a fan of it. And no, I've never really been a particular fan of it. I see the merits in it, and there's, to be honest, it probably hurts the left-handers more than anyone. Because
yeah. I mean, the point system was basically brought in so the lefties couldn't crush one day. So now the lane guy made it so they crushed three or four of the 5 days. So it hasn't really made any difference.
Yeah, because of the strategy, it's actually hurt the overall much more. They're going to steamroll. They had a pretty big advantage day one. They should. I anticipate a pretty big advantage on day 5. Day 2 they had a little bit of an advantage, and then I would say it's relatively even on day 2. This would be the day it could flip the other way though, if they don't have that spot out to play. And the problem is you don't have anything on the left. You just finish 60th or 70th. I mean, there's just 50 guys will beat you just on because if they flip the wrong way. Whereas, the right-handed, left-handers have an advantage. 5 finish ahead of you, and it doesn't have that much of an impact. So there's no perfect way to do it.
Here's the way I look at it, right? And I've had this conversation with Chris quite a few times about it, just in general. The whole point of the team trials is to pick the guys who give you the best chance to win medals. So to win medals, you want specialists. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, that's how you win. Like, only 3 people get it. The guy who finishes 7th every day doesn't win shit. So, because he's probably not even going to win in the all events either, with the way it turns out. So, to me, it seems strange that, and I guess this is where they end up picking guys, but they don't really ever go down the list very far to pick guys. But if a guy has like 2 bad days and 3 fantastic days, I want that guy in my squad because in advance, hey, he wasn't very good on these long patterns. Oh, look, the championship's on long. Well, we're not taking him. Oh, he came first on the medium and first on the short, and we're bowling short medium. Well, I guess he's going.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part of it for me that's a little interesting. Another part of it that I think is cool. This time they've got a few players being involved in the selection committee, past players. I know that Tommy's involved. I think Kelly Kulik's now, she's the women's coach, right?
Yeah.
So
kids coach. No, which one is she? I think she's She's head of the kids team?
Yeah, maybe that's right. Because
Yeah.
isn't O'Keefe still?
Yeah, he's head of the men's and women's teams, I
Right.
believe.
So, but all I'm saying is I think that that's nice that they've got a new set of eyes and like people who look at it slightly differently involved in the process. Because I think that's a good thing. Kelly's junior team. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you have Gaines, you have actually Kim Terrell's out here. You have a lot of college coaches involved. It's a pretty well-rounded group actually that's in touch with, especially the players you don't see on TV already. It's not hard to follow the pros so much as it is find out who the up and comers are.
Yeah. And for as much as Tommy wants to turn up in his flip flops and shorts and not take stuff very seriously, Tommy's got pretty good eyes at knowing what's going on.
Yeah, he's got really good eyes. Yeah, he's on the selection committee as well. So, yeah, it's a good point though about having specialists. I think USA sometimes gets a little bit arrogant in the fact they got players that they feel like can win on multiple types of things, and in some cases they're right. But
well, I just remember back to when you guys bowled the World Championships in Vegas, and they picked Janowitz mainly because it was on short, and John was massively better than Marshall bowled on short.
Right. Yeah. But they were both on the team at the time, right? Or no. That was Fagan and Janowitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Wes.
Well, Sabinski bowled. You and Sabinski won doubles, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So Tommy.
I think it was Tommy and Bill. But I just remember that Marshall and JJ was really the last kind of pick. And then they kind of announced that it wasn't long. It was short, medium. And it was like, because PA was like, if they pick long, Marshall bowl. Pick short, JJ bowl.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Morning, Mr. Skillings. Your big tournament's coming up in a few days. Feel free to make an announcement about your pattern as you wish. So, pattern. Would the Fate fit in between the X2 to Dark Moss or High Road?
This is a hard one, right? Because it really depends. This is the ultimate fit in between question. Because to me, the Dark Moss is almost above the X2 in some ways. Because the Dark Moss for me is earlier and it hooks way less down the lane. Whereas the X2 skids way more and it comes off it way harder. So if I was bowling a block, there is no way I would ever use the Dark Moss after I'd finished using the X2.
Unless it was wet dry would be the only way.
Yeah, but it's just it almost would never happen. So that's part of it that's a little hard for me with that question because yes, I guess, but the X2 to me is a ball that I want to go to when I want to really separate.
Yeah.
It isn't really like it's way stronger than it is. Sorry, it's way more angular than it is necessarily strong.
Yeah. The answer is not really. It doesn't really fit in there. It's stronger than the X2. I would use it before the X2 as far as how much I want it to pick up in oil. And then the X2 is more of an angular option off of that. And then the Dark Moss is smoother.
If we took the Dark Moss out of it and that was a High Road Pearl, then to me, I doubt that I would ever go Fate X2. It'd be Fate or X2. I have them sort of in like similar places, just different shapes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just because of the asymmetrical core. It makes to me, the X2 is almost like an asymmetrical High Road Pearl.
Nate, we had some of the same thoughts a little bit. Aesthetically, it does look a lot like the OG Wolverine. I mean, there's very similar pictures, and in some ways, shape-wise, it is too. It's a slightly different core, but I mean, that original Wolverine hooked quite a bit for the core shape. This hooks. It's a pretty strong ball, really. It could be a medium ball for a lot of people.
Yeah, for me, the Fate is the ball I go to when the Zen is a little lazy.
Yeah. It's a good question. I'm not sure he wants me out in him all that much, but what do you see Ryan needing to work on to be successful at the next level? Well, currently he's making some changes right now. We've caught him kind of mid stride for the trials, which is causing some issues. But one of the things is how he goes into the line. He's over opening his hips a little bit and getting himself a little sideways, putting a lot of pressure on his knee, and so we're getting all his hips, shoulders, and foot going in the line a little more towards his target, a la Belmo. We're not talking about straight; we're talking about towards your target. But it lowered his track about an inch. We took a fair amount of balls that he had in a stack in a progression and made them 4-inch bins, which made them not roll very good. It made him hook miles. So somebody asked about infinite physics, and that's why he doesn't have an infinite physics, because it went from a 5-inch to a 4-inch bin, and then it hooked miles. And there wasn't much. Trials isn't the place to go throw it sideways at the gutter and watch it hook off of it. So fitting some balls in there. But his speed range is getting better. Stu's talked about it before. It's the fact he's added it, it's much better than it was. He's got to get a little more consistent, a little softer, like a lot of kids when he wants to use his unfair advantages all the time, and you can't always use that massive rev rate. And so days like that where Bana is a player from Wichita's got his thumb, and it's a little old school floaty, probably throws it as much like Prather as anybody on the college side of things. That was the thing, and he doesn't quite have that whole tool. So his toolbox still got to expand. He's better at some of the things that Cal Troop's good at right now, being really firm up the back of it, adding the other tools. What you'd like him to be is a version of Simo. To me, Simo does more things better than anyone else.
I think from my perspective, I almost think that Ryan's in a little bit of a crossroads where he's adding stuff and he's getting better, but he doesn't have enough understanding of the game in his memory bank to know which one to use. So when it works, it's great, and he's very powerful. And it's like, if it's an obvious decision over whether he wants to kind of throw a little slower and hook it, he's pretty good at doing that. And obviously, if he wants to really jam it, he's really good at doing that. But I think his issue comes like he doesn't because he hasn't bowled as much as a lot of the people who are his age. He doesn't have enough built up understanding of why one thing's not working and the other is, and what.
Yeah.
So it's basically when he makes a change, he's just going through all the things he can do. So at the minute, as he's adding more things, it's actually making it harder for him because he's got more things to try. And eventually he'll understand that, hey, I need to go from this to this. And he won't go this step, this step, this step to get to that one.
It's the same progression we all go through, and largely the terms he bowls on are what we're bowling on right now, which is a little bit softer. And he doesn't have that tour. Now, college, they do bowl in harder stuff, but the team and how they break down versus how they break down in this. Yeah, he's gone through a couple of steps, and sometimes we can, we're back and we can help skip through one or two and get to the right one faster. But as he gets better and has his own progression that he goes through, he'll get to it, some of those faster on his own than where I would have led him to. And sometimes it goes the other way. And he's got to work his own way through it.
It's also a feel thing as well. Like, like you can see, hey, I should probably be doing this, but I'm not really as confident in doing that as I am in doing this. And I think this is almost as good. So I'd be way better doing this than doing that. Yeah. You're probably not the right person to talk to about that because you were very good at doing like everything. I'm just saying that like most normal human beings, when they can do a bunch of different things, they have things that they're like, I feel more confident in this.
Yeah, 5% better ball reaction doesn't outweigh the fact that you make 20% better shots.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what you're talking about. And there's some tools that he's added. There's a lot of things that are good when the lanes are decent. When they're really hard, like they were yesterday, you find out in a hurry what you're actually comfortable doing.
Oh, 100%.
And that's where some of the physical game stuff caught up with him. So,
and sometimes the lanes are so awful that you're not comfortable doing any of them.
Well, when the picture gets muddy and you're looking at one of those Pollock pictures and noses and faces are in the wrong places, it's ugly.
Yeah.
Not to list their arsenal, but what types of balls should you look at? 42 feet, 24 mils. Unless you're super high rev rate, you're going to end up looking at balls that are probably not got a lot of surface on them.
Yeah.
Front's going to hook quite a bit. You want control balls because 2.8 is not going to give you a whole lot of free hook.
It's actually 2.2. I mean, not that it really makes that much difference,
right?
But yeah, 2.2. Wow.
As the song goes, pretty much. If they all line up, you have a chance to bowl for a lot longer. I did not see this, but if they're actually talking about this, congratulations. They're actually starting to talk about things that matter.
Did you see new Power Step video? And if so, what do you think about them saying to concentrate on your footwork more than your arm when bowling? Well,
they work in tandem. If you have bad footwork, it's gonna be hard to have a great arm swing. It's a good point.
It's also very difficult to be accurate if you don't finish in the same spot. I blew somebody's mind with that the other day because they're saying, well, I really glare and aim to hit my target. And I said, well, that's cool, but that's actually not really helpful. And they're like, why? And I go, because if you don't slide in the same spot and you hit your target all the time, then you'll miss all of the time.
I've bowled with a couple of really good players, and there's a lot of guys that do it now. But Amleto was like the first one. So it looked like he randomly made like a 3-and-3 change. It wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
But Healy was probably the one that I bowled with the most that had the most variable slide, which is also what made him one of the worst spare shooters of a great bowler of the time because he had such great feel and touch. He could make it hook back from some good places, but that doesn't work when you're throwing it straight at a spare ball.
I was about to say, he didn't really like his spare ball that much either. He's the guy who decided he could Norm Duke it. Just because Norm can do it doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that Norm can do that I don't think I should try and do.
Yeah. I personally like it better with a little polish. It kind of depends on where you want it to fit. If you leave it with surface, it becomes kind of a middle ball for like shorter patterns. But with some polish on it, it can work on some just drier patterns. Period.
Well, I'm glad you caught her on a good day. See what she did? She did that on purpose. She doesn't like to admit out loud. If people don't know, she just tries to keep it under wraps that she felt sorry for me. Yeah.
Most days I'm with you. The difference between college pros is team strategy and shape lanes. Yeah, I mean, there's teams that do a very good job of breaking lanes down. This Wichita crew does a really good job on game one. Game two is always difficult for them because they follow teams that break them down, obviously, differently. On the pro level, there's guys, it's a lot of the same thing, though. You have guys that will break the lanes down to improve the pace, and some guys will just break them down to play where they want to play. And if that's not where you like to play, that can be very difficult.
I mean, there's two things with that. I'll just say, if you in a singles tournament, it's not a team tournament. You don't have to make them better for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of pros and cons to a lot of things. But if you look over and you think that breaking them down to the right is the right deal, but the next pair, they're breaking them down at third arrow, by breaking them down to the right, you're making that pair better and you're making it harder for you to bowl your second game.
Yeah.
So just you've got to think that through a little bit as well.
Yeah, it all plays into it a little bit.
We spoke about this a little bit. Chris thinks it's probably going to be higher scoring.
I think medium high today. They're going to be tricky, but they'll be tricky with a little left to right help today.
So yeah, if it's still chilly in your area, this is the Beef and Barnzy hoodie you want. This is the warmer one. It's the blue one. It's got the big logo. Check it out. It's on beefandbarnzy.com. It's by far the warmer one. If you get the one with the little logo up here, that is like a that's like a 50 degree hoodie. This is a 30-degree hoodie. To put in perspective.
Cliff Barnes, I'm looking at you. Coming your way. My luggage still hasn't shown up yet on this trip, so it's been nice.
And he didn't fly Southwest.
I did not, and I did not have a connection. It's, I mean, I have 2 million miles on American. It seems the bag tag fell off somewhere because there's just no.
Man, if only somebody would give you some air tags at one point.
Good point. I only had 2.
And how many of you actually loaded?
Both of them were loaded, but on people who tend to lose things more often than I do.
Oh, okay, that's cool. And you actually did it. Because the last time I checked in with you, you hadn't pulled the thing out of the battery.
No, somebody's AirPods are hooked up to them.
Okay.
And his wallet.
Okay.
And I did buy some more, which means they probably should be. I've never had issues with my luggage. So
no.
There are in other places like my backpack and things like that, things that I would lose. But
I can't remember
the last time I lost a suitcase.
Like I say, I'd never done it and never worried about it. But when we came home from England and all the shit that was going on, I was like, well, I'll just toss it in the bag.
No, it's 100% my fault. You gave me the exact example. And I went, there are no problems. Dallas, you check into B6, it goes downstairs, it goes 30 feet, and you put it on the plane. It's the easiest airport in the world for that stuff. That's why I don't think things happen. Now you go to Terminal D, it's like everywhere else, where it goes to a place, then goes, 3 miles everywhere else and goes.
But the other part of it is it's one of those things where for me now, it's kind of like it costs $20 and I don't have to worry about it. Now, I still feel kind of stupid when I look and I go, oh, look, it's with me because it's underneath me. Oh, well, it made another one. But at the same time, I didn't feel any worse than I'd spent $50 on 2 air tags when all my luggage made it home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just sad that it's got to that point now, but it probably won't be like that in 3 months' time. But with all the bags everywhere.
Bad part for American, it was the luggage that had all of her clothes in it. And all the shaving kit stuff and all that. So by the time you get essentials and you get makeup and curling irons and shoes and a couple of things, so you have some things to wear. It's going to be in the wrong bag if it doesn't show up because it's going to get spendy.
Yep. Yeah, and it's pretty rare that it doesn't turn up in the first day or so.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've never run. It's very cool though too that you also cannot call anyone and actually ask. Every call goes to the reservation system. So, yep. Pleased about that. Yeah, no, I can't call a baggage desk in Dallas and go, "Hey, can you look for this bag? Here's the tag number."
At that point, I just go back to the airport in Vegas.
No, I went to Vegas. They think it's in Dallas. The last scan is when we checked it in with that bag. Every other bag went through the scan. With 5 bags, 4 of them got it.
And they didn't call through to Dallas to say.
Oh, so well, they said they did, but we can't call and ask anyone.
Right.
Used to be able to once upon a time, but anyway.
Sounding old now, Chris.
Yep. Back when people communicated. So.
All right.
Asking Troy to go to the airport's probably not that's a big ask, I think.
Mike, he's got a truck now. That parking at the airport's a little tight. It might be it might be quite the expensive trip for you if Troy takes his truck to the airport. It's whether he gets the truck upstairs or whether he struggles parking it. That's the bigger issue. Hey, I did notice he must have been pretty salty about the Monopoly game because he actually posted words on Facebook for the first time in about 3 years. He had a little dig at Ryan with after your competitive game of Monopoly. So if you go on Troy's Facebook, he saw somebody who had like a professional Monopoly setup, and he had a little dig at Ryan over
it. Ryan's no days off when he plays on that.
All right. Well, good luck to Ryan today. We will. This is actually true from TJ. Twitter is actually the best way to respond to get a response these days.
Well, we may have to go that route. So,
so you want to say us off, Chris?
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for a show I've been on and since before Christmas. So back in the saddle again. We will be back with you next Tuesday with a wrap up of the Snowman and team trials, as well as anything else that might have happened this weekend. Shout out, say hi to Skillings for me, and until next time, please support the sponsors that support us: Storm, Rotogrip, Niner Global, Cool Lake Bowler Smart, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and of course, Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.